Hey guys, Stendo TV here, and I'm back. Yeah, I took a little time off. I took a week off of YouTube and pretty much took a week off of my stream schedule. I only streamed 1 hour each day last week. But I'm back. I'm going to have a good time at least until October gets here. I may take another week in October, but that's what happens. A lot of things happened while I was away. I had to make a YouTube video last week explaining the PlayStation Pro and what I thought about the PlayStation Pro. Hope you guys see that. If you didn't, I will leave it in the annotations at the end of the video and also make a card for it. So if you're watching on mobile, you can just hit the little eye icon up there in the top right hand corner of the screen and it will drop down and you'll see what I think about the PlayStation Pro. Some other things that have happened is fall is here and I have really bad seasonal allergies, so bear with me guys if it sounds like I'm getting a little gruffy. It's because I have really bad seasonal allergies. Usually when the season starts to change, I will get a little sick and then I will gradually get better once we're full swing into fall. So that happens every year. It happens 2 or 3 times a year, so it is what it is. But there was some other news about PlayStation that happened last week, mainly involving mods with the upcoming Skyrim remaster and the Fallout 4. PlayStation blunders just keep happening, and I think one of the biggest problems and one of the most challenging things that's plaguing PlayStation right now is their inability to be transparent with their audience and their consumer base. They're not getting their message straight. They're letting other people tell their narrative for them. Why are we not talking about a next-gen console or what your plans for the PlayStation 4 ecosystem is further out? Maybe they're just not ready to announce that, and I understand, but I think it's okay to say we're working on something. You don't have to announce what that something is, but just say, we're working on something. I think that would have been okay. And that's how I feel about this whole mod situation. They could say, oh, Bethesda thinks is putting it solely on us, but here's what's really going on, and while we're not releasing mods on PlayStation 4. And me and Tech Gladiator have a podcast. One of our podcast topics this week is going to be on this same subject, so make sure you tune in for that. It's more like a debate. So I hope you guys watch that. Interstellar podcast. That episode will air Friday. But when it comes down to it, it's all about licensing. And PlayStation is taking preemptive safety measures, which I kind of get. You got to think how PlayStation is right now, how Sony is right now, with the PlayStation and the Sony software being the only real, positive thing over there, that's a profitable thing that's making them money. All right, they're losing money, they're bleeding money everywhere else, so they got to protect what little profits they're making, and licensing could be a problem, a huge problem, especially when we see Nintendo taking down 562 games all of a sudden. That's basically what it comes down to. And what Sony was saying is that Bethesda needs to police this, and Bethesda was like, no, you need to police it. We don't have time to police it or the manpower. And I think that's where it came down to. Again, I see the arguments on both sides, okay guys? For example, mods have been around forever on PC. However, they've been very niche and usually they're hard to implement. And now they're on Xbox One, and they were going to be on PlayStation 4, and this would have made them very easy to implement. Easier to implement in these Bethesda games than ever before. So, and not a lot of console people do it, and now it's a mass audience thing. And I think PlayStation's like, you know why nobody said anything before is because, there wasn't a whole lot of people doing it. It was the minority of the people who play these games that are doing these mods, and now that's growing larger and larger, and now we're making it easier and easier to do. and that's going to in the future probably become a problem. Somebody's going to get mad at how their trademark or their copyrights have been infringed upon, and they're going to do what Sony would probably do in the same situation. So I don't think we should be too hard on Sony for not allowing mods, or at least not allowing mods in the way that Bethesda wants to put them onto the PlayStation platform. Unpoliced, it could become a huge problem, and I understand where Sony's coming from as far as licensing goes. And in other news, the iPhone 7 was announced. Although it doesn't have an audio jack, which unfortunately for me kind of sucks. So I'm not going to get an iPhone. I've never been a big Apple fan anyway. I'm more of an Android kind of guy. But that being said, I did have an iPhone once, and I see the appeal. But that being said, no headphone jack, really? I mean, I like that's where I watch YouTube. This is where I watch Twitch and things. I mean, of course, sometimes I'm sitting here in front of my desk, but a lot of the times I'm like retreating to the couch in there and just putting on my headphones and plug in my power supply, because that eats a lot of battery. Put in my headphones and just listen to it and watch media. That's how I consume, because my wife watches one thing. I usually don't like the chick flick shit she watches, so I'm like retreating to my phone here. And now I can't charge my phone and watch the videos that are sucking the battery dry at the same time, because I've got to plug my headphones in through the USB. That kind of, I don't know. I miss the headphone jack. I think that's a bad idea on Apple's part. And everybody says, well, you can get Bluetooth headphones. Again, those batteries are going to eventually run dry. Bluetooth headphones, look, I buy cheap headphones. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I buy typically cheap headphones because I'm so rough on them. I've never had a pair of headphones last longer than a couple of months. And so I tend not to buy expensive headphones because I don't want to break them, because I'm a clumsy fat ass. But that's just the way it is. But with the iPhone 7 came some very exciting news about Mario Run. Mario is coming to the iPhone. That's right, guys. And that's pretty exciting, because I think that's going to be a very popular download. I think it's potentially going to be very profitable for Nintendo. And it's going to show them that, people are still interested in their IPs. People do love their games, but they're not going to buy any gimmicks that you're putting out with your consoles. That's what really was wrong with the Wii U. That's what's wrong with the Wii adoption rate. So hopefully they take note of what they're doing, and what will make Mario Run successful, what's made Pokemon Go successful, and implement that with the Nintendo NX. It's not really the gimmick. I mean, sure, mobile games are one thing. Hopefully, though, that they do away with gimmicks on the console and just make really good IP games. So hopefully Nintendo's able to learn something from this experience working outside of their own hardware. I really hope that's the case, and that they learn a lot about who's consuming their products and how they're consuming their products. So yeah, it's good stuff. Did I mention that Nintendo took down 562 games? Because they did. That happened last week as well. They're shutting down fan games. These are typically games that are just like created levels, like Metroid. It still handles, it still looks and plays exactly like Metroid. It's just created levels. Maybe they change a little dialogue or story here or there or something like that. It's just for fun. It's fan made. But Nintendo says no. And again, I kind of understand why. It kind of sucks that they're doing it, though. I see why they do it. Again, I'm not in the camp that thinks that they should, simply because nobody's going to think that one of these fan games are a Nintendo produced IP. So if it's not up to Nintendo standards, Does it really hurt the IP? Does it really hurt Nintendo? I don't think so. I think people are smart enough to know the difference between a homebrew Mario game and a Nintendo produced Mario game, or at least I would hope so. But what really frustrates me about them shutting down these fan-made games is because sometimes some of these homebrews are used to raise charity funds, and I could, most of the time they're freely distributed. They're used to raise money. You know, people speed run these games and for charities and stuff. And I just don't think that Nintendo should take away from that community. I think video games in general should not work like Hollywood or the music industry. I think video games are a very special, different kind of media, where if somebody makes a fan project and it's obvious that it's a fan project, you should let it run rampant. That's kind of tied into what we were talking about with the mods on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and why they're not showing up on PlayStation 4 is because of licensing problems. Because eventually somebody's going to get mad that their IP or their trademark was shown in a Fallout game. Somebody might get, like, for example, Marvel might get mad that the Hulk is in Fallout 4 being an asshole and say, no, you can't do that, plus you owe me money for hurting my trademark, for infringing on my trademark. And unfortunately, that's the world we live in. It hasn't happened yet, but when is it going to? Again, we're going to talk all about this stuff in the Interstellar podcast later on this week, and you can get mine and Tech Gladiator's opinion on this. But that, unfortunately, is pretty much the extent of the news that we got last week. We did get games like Deus Ex, and then people have early access to games like Recore. So other than that, there's really not a whole lot going on this week, guys, but I am glad to be back. Tomorrow we'll be here with a Real Talk episode, and on Wednesday we'll have a vlog for you. Actually, I'm going to film the Real Talk episode right after this, and upload it for you guys tomorrow. And then Interstellar podcast all weekend long. I've even got a review of Wolfenstein The Old Blood coming up for you guys on Thursday. Make sure to check that out. But until then, guys, don't forget to leave a comment down below, or tell me what you think about PlayStation mods. Are we being too harsh on PlayStation? Should Bethesda not carry some of the blame here? I mean, right now we're just hearing Bethesda's narrative. You know, that's pretty much it. PlayStation hasn't released an official announcement, which they should. But that being said, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Don't forget to leave a like on this video, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Until next time, guys, remember to love your face, and we'll catch you next time. Have a good one.